I think perfection could quite possibly be one of the top reasons people don't do stuff. And one of the best books I ever read was The Gifts of Imperfection. I may have ballsed that title up, but Brené Brown.
But now it's perfect.
But now it's perfect. Brené Brown, she is incredible. I want her to be my friend. We all do, surely.
I have never read the book. I think I should. I mean, I don't even have it on my shelf as one to absorb through the air. It's one of my books. I haven't read it, but that does sound like something I don't know. I feel like I'm getting there now.
Yeah,
I should have read it 10 years ago.
You probably know all of the things in there. That is probably one of the top reasons people don't do the things, is because the pressure of it having to be perfect, and whatever that means. The quicker you are able to break through the illusion of things being perfect, the better. Because then you just get out of the way of yourself and create what you want to create and do what you want to do. And no, everyone is fucking working it out as well. Everyone is winging it. No one has got it all figured out.
Something that you talk about quite often in your teaching and stuff, and also in your content, is just doing something and not worrying about if it's perfect or not, just doing it, and that helps you. And it really is that, isn't it? Like, you need to take baby steps in it. It's definitely not that you will ever wake up and go, oh, everything is perfect, so today I can do stuff. Like, that will never, ever, ever happen. If you wait for that moment, it will never come. You will never do anything. It is really that you have to practice being okay with stuff not being perfect and making those steps, and then realizing that actually that is the way that you grow, and that is the way that you get closer to what your idea of perfection was years or months or whatever ago. And that's something that oh God, it's such an effort. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but I go through stages where I'm totally fine with that and I'm really on board, and I don't even weirdly mind about anything that's not perfect because I'm doing it, and then that all falls away. But there are times, and I don't know why it is, if it's to do with being tired or ill or just life, I don't know. But there are moments where I really focus on all the negative things about something and talk myself out of doing something, or I almost do. I've had a few weeks of that lately where I have really focused on all the things that were not so great, and then I thought it doesn't matter. I'm talking at the moment about posting stuff, actually, not just in life in general, but where I really nearly talked myself out of things, and I thought I'll do it anyway. Like, really, who cares? No one will care as much as I will.
That resonates so much, because I think the hardest job that I'm finding is making sure that my mind is in that right space. It's more of the feelings, the ideas, the being creative, and not being bogged down by criticism and, oh, this could be better, this isn't quite right. And there's an example, because the other day, I haven't been playing drums, right? It's Easter, so I've been watching films and having a lovely time with my girls. But there's always this duality of, I just want to be with them. And somewhere inside, though, there's this little voice that goes, but you haven't had any time for you, and you haven't had time to drum. So, and that's fine. It is what it is. And it's kind of like comes in seasons, I think. But I had a moment to just play, and I was just fucking about, and I recorded it and I posted it, and I just wrote something like, this is your permission slip to post, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be rough. And I remember feeling like, oh God, it is a bit of bullshit, like what I've played. But I just pushed through that intrusive thought and thought, it really doesn't matter, because the whole point is that you're giving permission for other people to just play. And also, who are you to judge yourself so harshly? It doesn't matter. Like, you know exactly where you're at, and you haven't been playing, so it's absolutely fine. But I was feeling still conflicted. And then I had a message from someone saying, thank you so much for posting that, because they had been posting, they're a beginner drummer, but they had been getting comments from stupid men criticising, like, unsolicited advice, And then they said, and I hadn't been posting, and now I just seen your post, and that makes me feel so much better. So thank you. And I wrote back saying, actually, thank you. Because this was meant for you. This was meant for you. And I feel like that work of controlling what we think about, it can sound so woo-woo, but it's so vital. So you're in the right headspace to make the right decisions. Making the right decision about what you're going to think is the most important decision of the day. And yet we just let it just take over sometimes with bullshit.
I remember when we were studying together, so this was like 20 years ago, and I was so caught up in being perfect, playing something perfectly, and it was so restricting. Like every day was a real fight because it wouldn't be perfect, because I had stuff that I just couldn't do that I needed to practice. And everyone is on a path with an instrument, and they will never be perfect, because when you're learning an instrument, it goes on for your whole lifetime. And I think that's something that I wish that I'd been more relaxed about that back then, because I would have got a lot more from what we were learning, and the people that we were learning from, not worrying so much about what they thought of me either. It's just, it's ridiculous, isn't it? You're worrying so much about everything, and actually that blocks you from learning and improving.
But I totally felt the same as you. And I remember just feeling like, well, there's no way I'm going to get up in front of the class because I'm not going to play it perfectly. And then if you're picked on to go up in front of the class, the amount of stress you're holding in your body is so against you for playing well anyway. It's just, I don't want to say I wish I could go back, because I think everything happens for a reason. But I wish I'd had someone to say, you are safe. You are safe to make mistakes here. Do it right now. Like fail and fail fast all the time. Like I really wish I had that, because I would have. Maybe I wouldn't have, but I just think it's such a gift to feel safe enough to fuck up.
I used to think that it was maybe that we felt so strongly about that because we were girls, and we were in a class of 20 boys as well as us. And I used to think, the boys don't care. It's really just us who have this like issue about playing it really well and stuff. And since we've got older and we're still in touch with some of those guys, everyone felt the same, didn't they?
Yeah. But it just didn't look like that sometimes. It looked like some individuals were just loving it and like, here, out of the way, let me go and play up at the front of the class, which was the complete opposite of how we felt, because we just thought, oh no. And I think having acceptance has been a massive one. Having like compassion for myself and acceptance for where I'm at has really helped quieten down that criticizing voice. And like you said, even if you have all the hours in the day to practice and get good, in inverted commas, whatever that means, the bar is always going to move anyway. So it's like you said, it's never going to be perfect, ever. It doesn't exist. And that's what I've been telling my girls as well. If they say something about, I don't know, like maybe they're doing a picture and it's not perfect, it's not quite right, I'm like, well, perfect doesn't exist, right? It just doesn't.
And my daughter has that. She had it when she started school with writing.
Yeah.
She would get really upset. She'd write something out in her neatest writing, and then she'd get really upset when the teacher would write something on it. And that's been a massive issue for her. And I remember at parents' evening, I was thinking, oh, God, this is probably my fault. This must be genetic. I don't think, well, I mean, I think it is actually, because also my partner's he does things very, very well, and he gets annoyed with himself if it's not perfect. But my son does it as well with drawings and stuff, and that really goes through phases where he'll get really angry and then he'll like screw a picture up and throw it away, where he's like, no, I made one mistake, and I'm like, oh no, this is really I really, really want to change this for them. But I don't know, maybe it's not purely genetic. Maybe it is just a human trait that we all sort of go through,
I have
some
a
more than others.
question. Yeah, I have a question. How do we differentiate? I know I do internally, but how do we govern having high standards and not being a perfectionist? Where's the line?
Oh, I don't know. It's a very sort of fuzzy line with me. Well, I don't know. In a way, it is and it isn't, because sometimes I will do stuff and I will think that's the best that I can do it. That's how it is. And then it's not that I anymore will like, for example, let's take a totally different topic, making a birthday cake for someone. I'll do it and then I'll think, yeah, that's the best I could do. I'm happy with it. It's not that I will then throw the whole cake away and start again or something. I'm not that bothered. I think it's changed for me as I've got older as well. How about you?
I think there's been a few areas along the way where I've really been confronted by it. So, writing my odd time book, I had so many blocks of it's not good enough, you're not good enough, who are you to write, and stuff like this, to the point where I was like, do you want to put it out there or not? And then reminding myself how long I've been drumming and how long I've actually loved odd time signatures, I had to like talk myself down from this place of just complete imposter syndrome slash it's not perfect, so why bother? And then I just thought, either you want to put it out or you don't. And if you do, you just have to quieten down all of this other stuff. You can lean on all of these years, and that is enough. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do know what you're talking about. You do. And you have a high standard anyway. So chill. It's like trusting it, you know? And then I have it for camps as well, where Neil might say, oh, you like things very exact. You know, it's got to be just so. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, it does. But I wouldn't say that's perfectionism, because it's not. Like in every camp book, there'll be a typo or something, just because there will. And I have now, after however many 24 camps, I'm now at peace with that. Earlier on, I was crushed. If there was a typo in the book, I'd be like, fuck's sake, that means this and this. And now I'm like, it's actually fine. It's still quite blurry. Like I know the standard that I want, and it's to create a feeling. And if there's any imperfections, it's actually fine. And if anyone is bothered, it's probably not the right place for them to be.
Yeah, when you talk about it like that, I do have high standards for myself for what I do, and I always
Yes.
have.
Yes.
But I have really always had this feeling of I need to do it the best that I can do it.
Yes.
And now I feel like if I do it the best I can do it, that's enough.
Yes.
I don't need to tear myself apart because of how something may or may not end up at that point. And I do now see that in life there are certain things you can and can't control and times, and sometimes you will do things differently to other times in life and that's part of growing and everything. So I'm fine with that. And I think I'm quite accepting of other people that they don't necessarily have the same like standards of doing something as I do. But I also do appreciate in other people when they do. I think that's
Yes.
also why I don't know if I should say this, but actually I was going to say I think that's why with us I feel like this works, like the podcast works, because I know that we both do it the best that we can with what we have in terms of time and stuff like that. And with you, I would say with your camps, I've seen you really grow from like the time that I knew you when we were students, where actually, this is the bit that I was saying I maybe shouldn't say. You didn't have such high standards of stuff that you would do because you had lots of different things going on. And now you're really focused and you've got kind of things in place for how you want them to be. And you know that you meet that. And that's really amazing. Like that's really grown as you have over time. That didn't really come out. I meant to do that sort of sounded like a slap in the face. It was meant to be a
No,
compliment,
no, I
but
took it as one. Yeah, ACM, I
okay.
feel like I was a bit like not so hot on the writing, let's say that, and a bit,
Well, it was like homework and stuff, wasn't
oh
it?
yeah, I
So it's
wasn't
not
on
it's not
it.
the same, it's not
No.
the same thing, but you've definitely become more focused and you're meeting these high standards for stuff that you're putting in place all the time. Like everything that you put out is great. I'm not talking about content. I mean generally, the courses that you do and everything, the relationships you build is all to a very high standard. And I don't see that as that's not to do with perfectionism. That is just when you do something really well.
Thanks, Biff.
That was meant to be
No, I appreciate that.
a compliment.
No, I took it as one. For sure.
Do you want to hear my seamless link that I thought of? So, perfectionism, Monica Geller from Friends, Courtney Cox. Right, I just wanted to do a little update because we put out our clip from our manifestation episode.
Oh, yes.
And we were talking in that episode about who we would want to be as our guests, like if we could have anyone. And we said Courtney Cox as one of them because
Yes.
she's been learning drums. And so we put out this little clip calling her to come on to the podcast as a guest. We sort of did it as a bit as a joke, didn't we? We didn't really think it would go anywhere. But
I mean,
so-
I was eating fucking a protein bar. My sister was like, it's funny that you chose that clip, isn't it? I was like, yeah.
well, anyway, less than 6 hours after we put it online, we know that she did actually see it. Haven't heard from her yet. We're still waiting for the call, Courtney, but or the DM. But one drummer saw it, and they had been someone that she had been in touch with about having lessons, and they directly forwarded it to her. Did it to her. So many imperfections in this episode. I just thought that was cool. I was blown away just by the fact that she actually saw it, whatever she thought of us and our clip.
It was so far from perfect, that clip. It was just like a fucking joke. And now I'm a bit like, oh God, did she see it? Did she think I'm taking the piss? Because I'm not taking the piss. But if you had sat us down and said, this, whatever clip you put out, Courtney Cox is going to see, I guarantee that we would have delayed and overthought it and wanted it to be perfect before we even put it out there. And yeah, I just think sometimes it doesn't need to be perfect. It is just what it is. And sometimes seeking that perfection will just stop you doing it anyway.
Plus, I think when you do something genuinely, when you're a kind, good person, when you're authentic and the intention behind something is good, people see that and they value it much more than something aesthetic or that's perfect. Something that I've been thinking about recently as I've been seeing more podcasts and stuff, watching more, and I was thinking, oh no, like we should do more editing, we should do this, I should do this with my lighting, and we should think of something else. And then I thought, do you know what? We've got zero budget. We're doing these episodes when we have our downtime. Like we were saying, we often are editing while we're waiting for our kids to do like an activity or something.
Yeah.
Like fitting it into wherever we can. And we're still managing to make episodes. And that's great. Like, I'm happy with that. I think you have to keep in mind what people will actually see of you, not what you see of them seeing you for. Does that make sense at all? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think if we put all of these blockers, I see them as a blocker, like lighting, mixing, all of this, more editing, I would say, no, I'm not doing it. And you probably would too, because it's like, as you said, we're just fitting it in. And this is how it is. Imperfectly coming to you sometimes every week, sometimes not when we've got a school holiday. But this is our best for now, and I think it's fine, just as it is.
I've written down something that's important with this whole topic of perfectionism is being present, not losing sight of what you've achieved, and that sometimes you need to sort of bring yourself back when you're in that headspace where you're battling if something is good enough. Then you need to take little snapshots in time if you can, and then compare to how you were back then, and then you see how much progress you've actually made, and actually if that is something valid or not, where you're stressing so much about if it's good enough or if you see faults, find faults.
I think that's so important, like going back in time. So if it's like a drumming thing, go back to when you can drum, or that first week. That version of you is going to be in awe of where you're at now, and like, oh my god, you're doing this, bloody brilliant. I feel like that should be taught in music school, or just in life, in school, regular school, because that is such an important exercise to do, to have compassion and acceptance, and so you don't get bogged down, because so many people just talk themselves out of stuff all the time. I do it all the time. And then I'm like, what are you doing? It's the last thing that you saw yourself almost talking yourself out of, if there's a thing.
I know exactly when it was. It was last week, and it was with one of my Swifty Drums reels. And I'd recorded it, like really, I mean, I'd recorded it in a hurry. They're all in a hurry, but that was especially in a hurry. And when I watched it back, I'd used the wrong clip. So, but I'd edited everything, and then I saw it afterwards, and I was like, oh, nearly swore then. But yeah, I'd used the wrong clip. So I was doing something completely different to what I meant to be sort of explaining with my hand. And then I thought, I can't change it. I'll just post it anyway, because that's what a caption's for. I'll just explain it in the caption. And then I spent the rest of the week watching it like a million times, thinking, oh no, my hand looks really bad. Like my left hand looks really bad. That looks awful. Anyone that sees it will just think I've got zero technique. I just really beat myself up the rest of the week. And then I thought, what was the point of that? Whatever, it's a Taylor Swift song on drums. It's not gonna, make the world fall apart. So whatever. If people are annoyed by it, then they can just skip to the next thing, can't they?
It's not for them.
It's not. But
honestly, that phrase, it's not for them, has saved me so many times. It's not for you. It's not meant for you.
Yeah.
No.
But I wish that more people would think about that online, because I was watching a reel that Mike Dolber had posted the other day about comments on reels from the Young Drummer of the Year contestants for this year. And he was saying how it was really a problem that there were so many negative comments. And I just thought, what is wrong with people? Like, these are young drummers. You even know it in the title of the competition.
Yeah.
They're at an exceptional level. The fact that they put themselves out there like they do. And then why would you tear them down? What is wrong with you? And there are so many people that just want to bring people down. And I think you have to keep in mind that if someone makes a comment on something that you're doing, if it's not constructive, then you just have to let it go, because people are really doing stuff like that to get a kick out of it and make themselves feel better. And you can't let that interfere with your whole mindset of what's good enough and what is perfect and what's, there's a minefield if you get into that.
Yeah. No, I think it's just awful. I admire every one of those kids that does that. I think it's amazing, and it just shows that person's world. If they're commenting, they must be so insecure, and just not have a life. It's I feel sorry for them in a sense, because I just think, fuck, you must be really hurt people, don't they?
Yeah, but still, it's like stuff like that has a consequence, and then especially for young musicians, that's something that they really are having to deal with a lot more than when we were young musicians. I hope people are teaching about that and how to deal with that on courses like we did now, because back then it wasn't even something that would happen, and now that could cause major damage to someone's confidence.
Oh yeah.
Like for the rest of their musical life. Being perfect and not being perfect. I don't know. I feel like it's definitely got better since I've been in my 40s. How do you feel?
Definitely, yes. I feel way more at ease with who I am and where I'm at with drumming and just life. That doesn't mean that I don't always want to improve stuff, and I often get little devil on your shoulder, whatever, saying, that wasn't very good, or you're not good enough for this. But I'm a lot more aware of it, where I think it probably led me before and stopped me a lot from doing the things I wanted to do. And I think it really just changed with being a mum, actually, and feeling like, well, I'm accountable now. What if my girls say, well, why aren't you doing this? My reason's got to be very good. And it can't be, oh, I don't think I'm good enough, or yeah, I have to try and do the things I want to do. So that's been lovely, and I'm super grateful for that. Yeah, and I just think the more people would view perfectionism as, it's not a badge, it's like it's something we need to try and get rid of. It's something that you need to try and overcome, because I just see it stop more people than enhance what people are doing. Like we said, have a high standard, but also make sure you do the thing though. Like there's this thing on social media where there'll be a picture, and the above image will be like a paintbrush splodge of a circle, like kind of messy, and then the bottom image will be a perfect circle, and above the splodge it says making a start, and then below it says something like make it good after.
Plus we're human, aren't we? We're humans, we make mistakes, and that's good. That separates us from, well, for the future, that separates us from AI and everything. So it's a whole thing that we need to be happy about, being imperfect. Being a mum has really helped me with that, because I just don't have time often to do something in the way that me 10, 15 years ago would have wanted to do something. And I'm really fine with that now.
Yeah, because you either have to do it or you don't. And then you have to go, well, how much time do I have? Am I being paid for the thing? All of these things come into it.
Yeah.
And actually, something else just came to mind is, when, in a drumming point of view, when I'm watching a drummer at the UK drum show or whatever it is, like a masterclass, something that actually makes me relax is if they make a mistake. Something about it, I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Like I start breathing again.
Yeah.
Or it just makes me feel so much better as an audience member, because I'm like, oh my God, they make a mistake too, thank God. And what I love is that most of the time they just carry on. I've never seen a drummer make a mistake and go, oh, I'm done. And the best one was my hero, Annika Niles, or Annika Niles. Said it wrong.
I'll forgive you, it's all right.
She was at the UK drum show, and I'd been waiting years to watch her live, and it was so amazing to see her play, and she was everything that I thought she would be. But in that performance, she's playing away, and then something happens, and she's like, oh, and she fucked up basically. She thought that the music was not going to change at the point that it did, something. And she stopped, and she laughed. She did the biggest laugh, and was like, ah! And then you just felt the energy in the room. And I think some people clapped, some people laughed, I laughed. And it just made it like, oh my God, like I love you even more. Like the mistakes make you human, like you just said. And it makes me think, if you are allowed to make a mistake, I am allowed to make a mistake. And it was wonderful. It gives you permission.
Something I love seeing is when drummers drop a stick.
Yeah.
Because it can sometimes be so seamless that they carry on. And actually it's that moment that, as a beginner drummer, I don't know if you ever had this, but I used to think, I don't want to drop a stick. I would get really tense, like, oh my God, I can't drop a stick.
Yes.
And it was my absolute biggest fear when I was younger. And then actually, if you're able to drop a stick and carry on, it shows how great you are. Like that's,
yes.
that you just take that in your stride. And yeah, I love those moments. I think, yeah, who did we saw someone at the UK drum show, and they made a mistake, and it just made me love them more on the main stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't remember even who it was. See, doesn't even matter. I don't even
Doesn't
remember
matter.
anymore. But I loved it.
What are we learning from that?
Yeah, should just do
Doesn't
it.
matter.
Do it
Yeah.
anyway.
Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Sometimes like a UK drum show or anything like that can feel super intimidating because there's just a room full of drummers, and it can take me back, and I'm sure you feel the same, to ACM, where you're like, fuck, people are looking for a mistake. I remember going to America to study there for a month or two and being blown away by all of my classmates, because they weren't looking for mistakes, they were looking for like the good bits. And I was like, oh my God. And I felt like ashamed to be that negative British girl. And I feel like I've carried that for a really long time, that looking for mistake thing. And after that trip, I was like, no, no more, let's look for the good. It's hard to remember that, yes, if you're in that environment and you're playing in front of a bunch of people, drummers, it's terrifying because you think they're looking for a mistake. But actually, if you make a mistake, someone in the audience might be like, oh, thank God. And it might make them love you even more. But in the moment, it can be really hard to remember.
Plus, the majority of people actually want you to succeed
Yeah,
anyway, don't they? They don't, they're not worried about mistakes. They just want to see you enjoy yourself and do well.
yeah,
So I think it's just for whatever reason with our brains, we tend to forget that, but make the mistakes is fine. And yeah, everyone, if they're making mistakes, then we'd be less bothered, wouldn't we?
yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's so funny. Weirdly, it is just such a favourite bit when people do. It just relaxes the room. I
Yeah.
don't know. If someone just goes, eh, it just softens it a bit.
It then came a time when I would really practice dropping sticks and like ways to recover from it. But yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it can, it can,
Preparing.
it can be, yeah, preparing, and you can never. Sometimes you just got to do it and see. I remember I did this gig. I say gig. I was invited to play one song of this gig for someone. It was like their last hurrah. And they said, oh, because I used to play drums for them, they had a few different drummers, and they were like, come along, play along to one of the songs. And I was like, cool. And I remember I practiced once at sound check, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. And then on stage, I didn't have my stick bag. I just had some sticks, and I was like, yeah, cool. And then I was like, oh, what if I drop it? I dropped it. And then I was like, shit. But then I just laughed, and I just was like, you knob, but you've recovered, it's fine.
I was reminded the other day of a really funny thing that actually happened on stage with you that I'd totally forgotten about. Was the most imperfect thing you could have happen in a gig. So there was a band for a little while where I was playing some percussion when you were playing drums. I don't know if you remember this, but I fell off a beer crate off the off the
Oh my
back of the stage.
God.
Do you remember that?
Yes. Was this
It was the two guys.
yeah.
I can't remember. I'm really sorry. I can't remember
But we
anything. But
uh
I was like sitting on these stacked beer crates playing percussion, and then something happened and I fell off.
oh my God. I completely forgot we were in that band.
Wow.
That
I
was
was
so good. It was kind of like a bit odd
It was.
sometimes.
It
Oh, it was
was.
so I can't remember the name of the band.
I know, me neither. But it was fun. So
It
thanks
was
for taking me along.
amazing.
And nothing bad came of me falling off the stage.
Didn't we laugh? Did I
Yeah.
notice at the
I
time?
stood up and bowed, and you were like, you were just, I don't think you'd even seen it, but I was like, well, that was ridiculous. I'll do something. So yeah,
Boom. I
I'm
love
still
it.
here.
You're still here, you bowed. That is like the baddest bitch thing to do. Yeah, you bowed.
Oh, inside I was dying probably for the
Oh
next
no,
like
that's
5 years.
brilliant.
But
It's
yeah,
brilliant. It's often the mistakes we remember the most, and it makes us laugh. Here's one. I might have told this before. I was doing this theatre show. It was probably the first theatre show I've ever done, like musical thing. And it was in London at the Pleasance Theatre. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. It was like a big deal to me. And it was a very small band. Me, a pianist who was also the MD, and a bass player. And we all got close, and me and the bass player, we got so relaxed with the show that we drink tea and have a biscuit. And this one moment in the musical, there's this cue. Da, 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 da. I'm not going to say the words. And then we're in. And we're both together. And we're both sipping our tea. I swear I just dunked a biscuit and I'm biting it and we hear da, 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 da. And then I hear the bass player go, and he's looking me dead in the eyes like, we just fucking missed our cue. And then we were like, it was a mad dash. Put my tea down, start playing.
Were you at least at the drum kit?
I was at the drum kit. But I've never forgotten that moment. It was just like, his gasp is in my brain forever. His and then did we get a telling off? Yes. You know, we never made that mistake ever again. And you could view that as, oh my God, like your standard it dropped so low. And in that moment it did. But in the big old picture of life, I learned so much in that moment. Never fucking dunk a biscuit in your tea when you're about to have a cue. Be aware. Like, I never ever made that mistake ever again. But also, sometimes it is just those moments where it makes you laugh so hard after the fact when you've gotten over it. And you're like, oh God, I can come back to this theatre and I'm not sacked. It's fine. It makes you who you are.
Yeah. Hasn't stayed on your CV for the universe forever. Like, no one knows. Well, now they do.
No. And then one more. I was doing a tour with these singers and we were doing We Will Rock You. And at the end, they were all incredible singers. One of them goes to do this high note at the end to finish the song. And his voice cracks and he sounds like a seagull. Ah! And it was so like a seagull. We all were like, wah! And I just am thankful for those real life moments. He didn't want that to happen, but it was very, very funny. And I think sometimes perfection can come across as boring and strict and restricted. And sometimes these mistakes, oh my God, yeah, you don't want it to happen. But it's so funny and it can bring lightness and, oh yeah, we're just playing drums, we're not saving lives. Which I think is something that Mike Dahlbehr says a lot. And you got to just remember that we're just here on this planet for a very small time. So in the end, do you want everything to be perfect and to be like this? Or do you actually want to have some fun?
I think that is a good note to end it on.
Yeah!
Plus you swore about 5,000 times in that episode. So
Did I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right.
It's even probably worse in half-term time because there's no swearing allowed.
Relax.
Oh, no, this is like where I can let it out.